Okay, let's talk about the book of Ruth. You probably know it, right? It's one of those classic, beloved stories from the Hebrew Bible that we all think we have figured out.
And yeah, on the surface, it's a really beautiful story. You've got loyalty, love, a foreign widow who sticks by her mother-in-law, and it all ends with this wonderful marriage and a secure future. It's kind of like this calm, happy island in the middle of all the chaos you usually find in the Bible.
But what if that's not the whole story? What if there's something else going on just under the surface? I'm talking about a hidden map, a powerful allegory for salvation, where every single character, every place they go, every choice they make is actually a step-by-step guide for a disciple on their journey to find a redeemer.
So let's dive in and explore that hidden story.
So there's this scholar, Max C. Sterling, who has this amazing idea. He suggests that the whole book is really an allegory. He says Ruth's journey, from being this outsider widow to becoming this incredibly important ancestor, is actually a spiritual map. It represents the journey that any disciple, you or me, might take when we're trying to build a covenant relationship with God.
Now, to read any map, you need a key, right? A legend. So let's start by decoding the characters. So if you look at it this way, the roles become super clear. Ruth, she's the disciple, the one on the journey seeking a new life. Naomi, her mother-in-law, who guides her, she represents the Holy Ghost, that spiritual guide. And then you have Boaz. He's this powerful, kind relative. And he's the big one. He takes on the role of the Redeemer.
And the absolute key to unlocking this whole thing is a single Hebrew word, goel. See, on the human level, Boaz is a goel, a kinsman, a near relative with a legal duty. But here's the kicker. In the Hebrew Bible, goel is also the word for redeemer, and it's often used to refer to the Lord himself. This double meaning is everything. It lets Boaz be both a man in the story and a symbol of God at the same time.
All right, so we've got our key. Now let's trace that journey.
So Ruth's journey isn't just about walking from Moab to Bethlehem. Think of it as a spiritual map with different zones. She's moving through stages that get her closer and closer to Boaz, our Redeemer figure. She starts out in the wider land of Bethlehem, then gets into his specific field, and finally, she reaches the very intimate, very important space of the threshing floor.
And get this, the journey kicks off with a kind of fall, and it sounds a lot like the story of Adam and Eve. Think about it. They left the Garden of Eden, a place of plenty. Ruth leaves Moab, a place where she had some security, but she's pushed out by a fall of her own, death and famine. In both stories, the journey forward starts with a big commitment to God and a huge leap into a totally uncertain future.
And this is that moment. This is the covenant. When Ruth makes that famous vow, "Where you go, I will go," it's so much more than just loyalty to her mother-in-law. It's a formal, legally binding oath. She's committing to a new people and, crucially, a new God. She is tying her fate to YHW, putting everything on the line, based purely on faith. The moment she steps into Boaz's field, she experiences something called hesed. It's this beautiful Hebrew word that means loving kindness, mercy, covenant faithfulness. Usually, it's a quality that describes God. But here, in this story, it's Boaz who shows it. He gives Ruth protection, he gives her food, things she absolutely hasn't earned. He's literally acting as the Redeemer, showing this incredible, unearned grace to the disciple who's just starting her journey.
Okay, so this entire journey builds to one critical, highly symbolic scene. It all comes down to the threshing floor.
So picture this. It's the middle of the night, on the threshing floor, and Ruth makes this unbelievably bold move. She asks Boaz to spread the corner of his garment over her, and she says why. Since you are a goel, a guardian redeemer. It's brilliant. She's taking his legal duty and turning it into a marriage proposal. And to really feel the power of this moment, we have to look at another Hebrew word, kanap. This word has a double meaning. It can mean wing, like for protection, but it also means the edge of a garment. Earlier in the story, Boaz actually prayed that Ruth would find refuge under God's kanap, his wings. Now she comes to him and asks him to spread his kanap, the edge of his garment, over her. Do you see it? She's asking him to be the answer to his own prayer for her. And the location, the threshing floor, is just packed with meaning. In the Bible, it's not just a barn floor. First, it's a place of judgment. Remember Uzzah, who was struck down for touching the ark? That happened at a threshing floor. Second, it's a place of redemption, which is exactly what's happening here with Ruth and Boaz. And third, another famous threshing floor, the one owned by Ornan the Jebusite, became the exact spot where Solomon's temple was built, the holiest place on earth. So this meeting, it's happening in what is, symbolically, a profoundly holy space.
And this whole idea of a spiritual map, this step-by-step journey, it's not just in Ruth. The book of Job, believe it or not, follows an almost identical pattern, moving closer and closer to God. These stories are kind of like literary temples. They're designed to guide the reader, to guide us toward the presence of the divine.
So, what's the result of this sacred meeting? Well, it's a total transformation, from a forgotten widow to royalty.
So they go to the city gate, which was the courtroom of its day, and Boaz keeps his promise. He plays it so smart, he expertly navigates the law, gets another potential kinsman to back out, and then publicly, in front of everyone, he commits. He's not just redeeming the family land, he's redeeming Ruth herself. He becomes her true Goel, her redeemer, for all to see.
And with that, her transformation is complete. Remember the women of the town? The ones who basically ignored this foreign widow when she arrived? Now they're singing her praises. They tell Naomi that Ruth is worth more than 7 sons. In that culture, 7 sons was the ultimate symbol of blessing and fulfillment. So for them to say that about a Moabite woman, wow, she is 100% in.
But wait, the story isn't even over. Here comes the ultimate payoff. Ruth and Boaz have a son named Obed, and Obed has a son named Jesse, and Jesse has a son named David. Yes, that David, Israel's greatest king. This foreign disciple, who took a huge leap of faith, who went on this covenant journey and united with her Redeemer, she becomes the great-grandmother of the king, a founding mother of the entire royal line.
So Ruth's personal journey, her story of salvation, ends up having these massive historical consequences. She becomes this incredible link connecting the Abrahamic covenant of the past with the Davidic covenant of the future. And in doing so, she carves out her place as a key figure in the lineage that would one day lead to Jesus Christ.
And all of this really leaves you with a question, doesn't it? When you look at a familiar story like Ruth through this kind of allegorical lens, it just blows it wide open with new meaning. It really makes you wonder, what other stories that we think we know inside and out are just sitting there, waiting for us to discover their own hidden map?